Welcome out there, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition, to another broadcast of the Ars Electronica's home delivery series. Today we are in the program of the festival inside. As you know, the festival is in full preparation. We still have 7 weeks to go, and we put more and more focus in this format on this event. Today, we want to introduce you into one very interesting and important format from the Ars Electronica, from the Prix Ars Electronica. It is the CyberArts-Exhibition in the Oberösterreichischen Landeskultur GmbH in proper English, the former OK. And I will introduce you 3 guests here in the studio. It is Genoveva Rückert, the Chief Curator for Contemporary Art in the OK, in the Oberösterreichische Landeskulturquartier. And it is her boss, Martin Sturm, the head for Contemporary Art. And it is my dear colleague, Emiko Ogawa. She's in our company responsible for the Prix Ars Electronica for quite a long time already, and she's the head there. I'd like to start with Martin Sturm, and I want to keep myself short. I mean, the CyberArts-Exhibition has always been one of the most important formats the Prix Ars Electronica has as some output. And in my socialization as a citizen in Linz, it was always part of Ars Electronica, but it was always in the OK Center in your institution. It's quite a long time that this journey started, and if I look back, Martin, it is not just that the CyberArts-Exhibition has been a fixed starter in your program. It is that around this, your institution has made quite a journey in its self-development. Can you tell us a little bit of what it was and what it is today for you?
Sure. Thank you for the invitation. What you can see on the image is now what it looks now after 30 years. When we started in the early 90s, we really tried to establish the PS1 of Linz. You know, by that time it was very important to start a contemporary art center in an old school building, just the same as the PS1. For us, by that time, this was really the big ideal, you know, like to do a program like that. And since then, it has developed in the 30 years, and the Prix Ars Electronica and the cooperation was a very, very important part of that. Because as a contemporary art center for us, there were 2 goals which were very important. One goal was to get international. The Prix Ars Electronica itself always has been, from the first day, a very international festival with media artists from all over the world. So for us, it was a big chance to connect with an international audience. And the second, of course, was a contemporary art center in the 90s always tried to establish media art, because media art was really the big thing in the 90s. When you start a contemporary art center, you have to focus on media art. So for us, this was really the key with the Prix Ars Electronica connection.
Yeah, I mean, now that we know that the entire region, because of institutions that you are representing, as well as what we are representing, because of the local art university and the many related players dealing with this understanding of what media art is, it is really wonderful to see this development. But when I look at your house today, I mean, when I see this, I don't see specific target groups. I see the entire society. How is it for you to address like a rather general audience to a rather specific form of arts? I mean, it used to be very avant-garde, but what is it today?
Where you see, I mean, you can see that there are two factors which are really important. The one is that for a festival in contemporary art, you need the infrastructure. When you look at the image, you see it's a square, there are different buildings, it's a kind of closed community. You can share with people, you can network, you can meet, you can sit, you get good food. So all these aspects you need besides the media art, besides the project, that to gather an international audience. So we could develop this in the center of Linz, an interesting structure like that, where people like to go, where they can enjoy, but also be educated or see the visual arts. The second important thing we realized is even if contemporary art is avant-garde, it's a very sensitive art, and like the Prix Ars Electronica projects itself already show that. So we tried to establish new formats. So we tried to open up the art center. People can go up on the roof. They are not going into a traditional museum, so they are kind of in public space. So they have another way of experiencing that. So I think this really helped to develop that.
And where is PS1 now, by the way?
The PS1 now, the PS1 now is the High Line.
Yeah.
So I think also our center developed from the PS1 in the 90s to the High Line in the 2000 years. The High Line itself, it's the same idea to do something in the city, in the public space, also working with artists, with architects, being in the public. And so this is kind of also our development.
Yeah, thank you for this answer. I think that this concept is really a prototypical best practice sample to bring rather complex forms of art, but also with the missions, with the narratives the art projects do come in their rucksack closer to a general audience, because what media art is representing is for sure somehow some elite, some avant-garde, but the topics that are embedded into this are so close to the big changes out there now, and automatically they need to be addressed to a rather broad audience. Yeah, thank you, Martin, for these answers. We hope that we stay in these relationships for an endless time because it is really making sense, and it's a lot of fun collaborating with you.
Yes, I see it the same way. Thank you.
But now let's go deeper into the case, into the CyberArts-Exhibition, and I'd like to ask you, Genoveva Rückert, Genoveva, as the person who, on a curatorial level, has to kind of find ways for this overlapping many programs in your house. Can you give us a little bit of an insight in the preparation? What's going on now?
What's going on?
We need to say what is going on is that we are talking from not a digital exhibition. This is a real one. We do have the challenge, we face this together to make this happen.
So this year, in a way, we contribute to your idea of gardens. So our Höhenrausch rooftop, so that's what all the many visitors of Prix Ars Electronica know for years, that we established this format Höhenrausch on the rooftops, will be part this year. This is also what you see behind. This year we have a project going on, a smaller one, where people are really able to enjoy this site and to share and to also feel the city. But if we dig deeper down, so what's going on with the CyberArts-Exhibition? It is quite hard this year, we have to say. We were really expecting interesting news coming out at the end of April from your Prix, because this is the moment when we take over. We go through your lists and check what projects are on your lists and what is possible to be exhibited. This year it's a bit harder. We can focus on interactive art as in previous editions of the CyberArts here in the background, where we always try to be very physical, really live, also to
interactive,
really interactive, or to create a laboratory. But this year, in many cases, it's not possible. So if we go further, This is the winning project of this year's interactive art category. So this is the category where of which we can really make the exhibition of. And it changed so much. It's Laureen McCarthy, someone. So it's an insight from her flat. And if we go a bit deeper, we can see how she presented it. In a way, it will look like this. So a documentation of an experience which was live. This is one example. Then, of course, we continue with the next categories with digital communities and so on. But of course, so this is one example. Frédéric Duclerc, algorithmic perfumery. People and our visitors will be able to create their own perfume due to questions people get. So this is at least one of the projects which is possible to do. For example, to present exhibitions or installations from Korea, it's not possible. So we have to really focus on what's in the close area, so really on Europe, and this is quite unlikely.
I see, and because you mentioned like 3 times or 4 times the word possible, I think it is clear. I mean, possible in our situations means that it is always a question about resources. It is always a question about getting lifetime from those artists and their pieces, because we are not talking from some pieces, we are talking from the best of the media arts. And there is this little dominant layer, ironically said, called the virus that is surrounding us, and that is forcing us at the end to rethink our normal thinking of what a production is and so on. Can you give us? You already had some experiences where what you could quote.
Yeah, for example,
because of Corona.
This is easy. So globally spoken, in all the biennials, we can show, of course, screenings, like the winning project of this year's computer animation. It will be presented as an installation, but we will also feature the electronic theater, so the best of the animation category on our rooftop, so to really use the site we created and to experience it different. So this is one of the points. And then for Corona reasons, yes, I mean, it's interesting how people and artists react to this. This was very interesting for us this year. So
and how was this reaction? Was this, I'm afraid I don't want to come, or was this, hey, thanks for waking us up, we are still there, we want to appear?
Yes, I think artists want to give a very clear sign, we are alive, we want to talk about this. This is a crisis which meets us really in the heart. And of course, many of the artists reacted immediately on our requests, how can we present it? And then we decided also together, it doesn't make too much sense to present a lot of monitors and documentary stations, because we will do a feature anyway, which should be completely different, and it will be more featured like these live screenings, for example. And this was interesting this year, and of course it was also the female participation, what you can also really see in the visionary pioneer of media arts, which is kind of a local hero.
Kind of.
So this is also local, but this is the Habak movement, so one of the digital community projects. But it doesn't matter. We will also focus on the Hong Kongers, of course, not only with the Hong Kongers, but also with some, there's another project where you can really see the facades. And this artist, Wally Export, the visionary pioneer of feminist media art this year, she also works with this kind of facades or structures which a building gives. And she's one example. We will present only these light boxes, because in our new established institution, the Oberösterreichische Landeskultur GmbH, there are many other institutions part of this new established cluster. And the Francisco Carolinum, they give a very good oversight about her work. Valley Export as a pioneer, but also as part of the collection they have. So what does it mean to collect media art? I mean, this is also a quite relevant question for a museum and also for us.
One, I would say.
And a complicated one.
Yeah, thank you. Besides our protagonists, for whom we are breaking the lances, we are doing this for another target, for another group too, and this is for the audiences. So a question to both of you guys. How will it be being an interested guest with buying a ticket? So I mean, what can we expect? Which kind of guidance, or is there a guidance? Which kind of restrictions?
Well, what we will focus is something which is in mediation, in art mediation. We try to always find something positive out of the negative. So we will focus on Kunstauskunft, as a German word, you know, where you are not going through the exhibition in guided tours, like with a group of 15 people, but where you have people besides the art, you know, like in the single rooms with the installations or with the screenings, and they will be able to explain it, whether it's the artists themselves or it's people from the mediation team, you know, so that you meet someone who can give you some overview or can answer your questions. I think this is a very good format anyway, also without the virus, to get a contact with the audience, you know. And besides this classical way of moving together as a group through the exhibition. So we will stress on that, for example.
So that's very interesting, because one could say that because due to a compromise, we are actually able to raise the quality of discourse.
Exactly. I think, of course, it's a disadvantage to have the virus. Everybody knows. But
no doubt,
you always have to see what is the advantage. You always have to get something positive out of a difficult situation. This is how art works, you know. It always needs this kind of also stress or a kind of situation which is not so easy. And out of that to create something new.
Yeah. So this is a new layer, added on layer in the protocol of behavior, dealing with art and artists, and going into museums, which is very interesting. But again, as you just said it, and it's the same attitude Ars Electronica has. Sure, we see the big problems, but we don't lose a second in dealing with them, than rather more looking for proactive solutions. Okay, thank you for this. It's going to be still challenging. It's still very theoretically what we are talking about. The praxis will tell us then at the end if we were right or not. But back to the Prix Ars Electronica, and directly to you, Emiko. I mean, the Prix Ars Electronica is not just an exhibition, and it is not just a screening on a very exotic place. It became in the years far more.
Yes.
So please give us a little bit of a description about that.
Yes, thank you very much. And as Genoveva mentioned, that of course we plan the electronic theater, which is the showcase of the top 15 winners of computer animation categories. This is for sure happening in this wonderful location, the Somakino area, so-called, the rooftop area of the OK Center building. But also, we are completely need to be very drastically change our point of view for international audiences with the live streaming. So we all are really trying to have the new structure also for the online form of this animation festival, electronic theater. This is one thing. And one of the big events, the pre-forum, is normally the main event for the Ars Electronica Festival. This is the Prix Ars Electronica top three winners artist talk normally. But this year we really would like to more focus on the discussion for each categories and also participation with the artist in the global way. So not only the focus, normally that we invite the audiences in your auditorium room in maximum 200 people or something. But this year, of course, we try that, and also because of the corona situation, we are in the challenge because that not so many artists can come to your auditorium, so that we really have to do it in the online. So we drastically changed the platform, that the online streaming situation, how people can participate and discuss about each category.
So that means that the traditional formats, as we experienced it, lived it, would all of a sudden not fit anymore into the time and the formats. For your point of view, I mean, and it's more or less very similar to the last point. Is it a compromise? Is it a step back, or can you report that that we made actually a step forward in some formats, in understanding them better and creating new constellations?
Yes, of course, that we see this is as a new challenge or new opportunities, that normally it's impossible for us to invite all artists, all winners into the auditorium, or to provide the situation of the, to see all artworks in the auditorium in the one day or something like this. But in online, it should be possible. So we really try to make the new opportunities via online, also try to share with people what was the, for example, this year's interactive art plus category, what was the topic, what kind of thing artists are thinking. So these sharing moment that we really would like to establish in the live with the online streaming.
Okay, thank you, Emiko. So all the formats of the Prix Ars Electronica are actually appearing with two phases on the horizon of the upcoming festival. One phase is that this entire exercise that we are planning here together has two targets. And the one is not to disappear in the digital and really use us as institutions and our institutions as a playground, as a test balloon for the entire society of how a festival, how cultural events would be accessible. And we see this, I think, not just for the sake of the arts and the cultural world, that also a prototypical best practice sample for all the other genres out there who are not so close related to the digital, who are not so experienced with the tools. The artists, the arts, and the institutions will show as an experiment with a lot of risk, but with a lot of ambition, how those tools would bring us closer to the digital, but also back into the real. So for those who are not able to come to Linz, no worries. We will prepare specifically the CyberArts-Exhibition also as an online format, and we will put a lot of effort to make a little bit of a difference to those formats we have seen in the last months. At
Even
least
the
this is the ambition.
Award ceremony that we are planning to have the online version as well, right?
Yeah. It's for instance, the gala will be a two format: the one for the locals and the regions, and the other one in a more sophisticated and elaborated discussions for the art world. Okay, this was it for today. I thank my dear guests, partners, and friends for the contribution. For sure, to you, Emiko. I wish us all a good summer, and we know that this means, in our case, not beach, but a lot of work with wonderful persons and projects. And I hope to see you in the digital form or in the real form in September at the festival. Have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.